Greetings, SharkVac fans. I have on temporary loan from one Thomas Rechtenwald this lovely red Shark NV650W rotator lift-away true pet professional. How long can they make these names? So as far as I can tell, this machine appears to be made about 2014 based on the date stamp in the end of the plug. So maybe it's 2014, maybe that number means something else, but that's what was recommended to me by a gracious viewer on the previous video that I happened to make. So let's take a closer look at this. And this machine does come essentially complete, save one thing. I know, creaky plastic. The pre-motor felt filter is missing. We don't have that. So you have to keep in mind there will be some of these airflow tests in which maybe you would go and want to subtract 1 or 2 CFM or so, because when you put the felt filter in, typically you lose a couple of CFM. So just keep that in mind for this video. And one feature I really like is the handle. So on off right here, but you've got this 3-position switch right there, and it allows you to adjust airflow and suction. And as you'll see in the forthcoming video, it actually makes quite a difference here and there. So let's go ahead and get started measuring this NV650. Well, let's start out with some somewhat informal Baird meter airflow tests at the hose end. So this thing has 3 positions. So you have one here in this position says thick carpet area rug, and then carpet low pile, and then this is hard floor. And the funny thing is, all 3 positions make this meter move differently. Pretty funny. So here's just some fun informal tests. We'll do the formal tests in a minute. Here we go. So that's the lowest. That's about a 2. And there's the middle position. And then we're 4.5 or so. And here's the best position for as much airflow as possible, hard floor, and that's like almost a 5.5. So small difference there, and a big difference there, obviously. All right, so let's formally measure this. Now for the formal tests. Again, the CFMs will appear on your screen. Kind of speeds up the video a little bit, I hope. And away we go. I'm going to start on the lowest value and go up. So you got 3 levels of airflow. Oh, and I like the little light that's right here, if you happen to see that. So this machine does have a suction relief valve, and I don't know exactly how it's going to affect this gauge, so I'll try and do what I can. So let's start out, I guess, with the lowest level, or at least what I think might be the lowest level. So here we go. Oh. So that was interesting. On low, we got all it could deliver, and up on high, I think we got almost all it could deliver. But when you put it in medium, the valve seemed to trigger. How about that? Now we have this Shark rotator on the airflow box. So we'll do airflow and suction tests. And on one corner of your screen, you'll notice that I've got my power meter there. So this is a 2-camera production. What I want to show you specifically is that with nothing on with the machine, I mean, it's not turned on. The headlights aren't on. The brush roll isn't spinning. The motor isn't spinning. This Shark is using power. So it's kind of funny. 43 milliamps. It's kind of hilarious. So just to show you, let me turn the power strip off and you'll see it go back down to 0. So I just shut the power strip off that the power meter is plugged into, and of course the only thing that's plugged into it is just the vacuum. And of course it goes down to 0, everything goes away. And now the power strip and of course the power meter plugged into the strip is all back on, and we're back up to 42, now 43 milliamps, 42 milliamps. So that's kind of weird. There's something in the Shark that is using a little bit of power, not much, but there seems to be some kind of standby circuitry. That's just kind of unusual. I don't normally see that a whole lot. All right, so let's go ahead and do the airflow calculations. And I will print on the screen, rather than using a calculator, what the calculated CFM is. So we're starting off all filters in. That is, you've got an exhaust filter, and then you have a premotor filter that's kind of a big round sponge. There is a felt premotor filter that did not come with the machine. I don't have that, so that will make a small CFM difference, meaning that CFM would probably be like maybe 1 or 2 CFM higher. But the machine's been fully cleaned, the seals have been wiped with Armor All, everything's all dry, so this is going to be about the best this machine can do. So we're going to start out with all filters in. We'll do brush roll on and then brush roll off. And away we go. Looks like we're a little over 2,400 feet per minute, and that is brush roll on, obviously. Now the brush roll is off, and we're at almost 2,600 feet per minute. Now you can also see what happened to the power. So 9.16 amps or so. We should be at about 121 volts loaded. And let me turn the brush roll back on. And you can see we come up to 9.7 amps with the brush roll on. So with the machine running, we are at about 121 volts, and I'll put some power calculations up there. So I guess if you want to save power, although you're not really going to save much, make sure to keep your shark unplugged. All right, now let's go and repeat these tests, and I'm going to take all the filters out, which is just the two that I have to remove. This guy right here, and there's no premotor filter right here, the little felt one. Don't have that. So I'll do that, and then see a little area. Take the HEPA filter out. Put that over there. See what it does with no filters whatsoever, other than the cyclonic assembly, I suppose. There we go. Time to reset. Gotta get my units right here. Feet per minute. That's what we like. Alrighty. So we're all set. Filters out. So let's try brush roll on. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference. And we get a little bit of a rise, almost 2,700 feet per minute with the brush roll off. All filters out. If the previous cuts of this video weren't loud enough, this one's going to be louder, so turn your headphones down if you feel the need. So let's do suction, and we'll start out with brush roll on. Again, brush roll off. Oh, wow. That's amazing. I was not expecting the massive increase in suction with the brush roll off. That is, I think, the first machine I've ever seen that when you turn the brush roll off, the suction actually goes up. So, wow, that's definitely a surprise. Maybe most of the newer sharks are that way.